Good morning, y'all. All right, so I've done my snake and shake. I did my elementally intuitive movement, and then I did some poi to warm myself up. And next I go to my staff. So this is a 5-pound bar. The company that I've got here is Yes for All, but you can look around and find what works for you. And I apply the same levels of elementally intuitive movement to this. So level O, getting to know our guide, which is this bar, this staff. And I'm paying attention to my levels, my base, where my feet, hinging at my hips, supporting myself with my core, so that way my shoulders are back upright, so I'm upright, maintaining this vertical line of gravity as I am exploring my sphere with my 5-pound bar as my guide. And you can start out with a broomstick. It doesn't have to be a 5-pound bar. You can work your way up to it. You're still going to get a lot of benefit from these motions. So then I move on to level 1, finding my center, and my bar is connected to me. And so, like always, this level when we're finding our centers is a self-massage level because we're pressing on our bodies. So now I'm using my bar to press on my body, which lets me get some massage on my back, but as I'm doing that, I'm also stretching my shoulders. So it serves a multi-purpose function. Mix it up with some O. Move on to 1.5. One hand is connected in, one hand is exploring out. So now this hand starts out stationary, so I don't have to think about what this hand is doing. It's just anchored on my body. As we are exploring space with our staff as our guide. Because when it comes to working with implements, every implement moves in its own way. And I could say from what I've gotten over the years of talking to parents, every child moves in their own way. Every child is unique. When you have multiple children, I am an only child, so it's a different experience in households when there are many children and the parents have to adapt to the many different children because every child is unique. So every implement is unique in that sense, and each implement guides us to move in different ways, the way that each child will guide parents to move in different ways as they support them through life. So the staff is supporting us, but for the staff to support us, we have to be willing to work with it. Same thing with the kids. You can think about the children are your teachers. They're your staff, they're supporting you, but you need to know how to work with them. So these support staffs that we're working with help to guide us in different ways. So we just have to learn to work with them and explore the different ways and the different planes that we can move in. And I'm not picking up my feet per se, I'm shifting orientation. And now my hand can move freely as it prepares for the next level. And I can mix it up with my other levels. If one hand is touching my body and my implement is touching my body, then we are at level 1. We're finding our centers because we have full contact with implement. So when we have two things on us, then we are finding our centers. It doesn't have to necessarily be both hands on the implement and the implement on us to be considered level 1 with aim squared. And do some O. And then move on to level 2, expanding into our spheres with both hands out. Oh, I already moved on to level 3, exploring our spaces with mobile bases. So now I'm picking up my feet. Now I need to be aware of my greater environment. I've got some staves right there. I've got this fence behind me with these posts that I could potentially hit. So I need to be aware of my environment. Not just that, but I'm on uneven ground. It's not flat right here where I'm at. So I need to pay attention to my greater environment as I'm paying attention to my breath, my center, and my base. It's not just a movement practice, it's a mental practice too. So that way we're better supporting our vessels as we're exploring our space with these implements as our guides. Level 4. Whoa. Slow down. So when you're working with an implement, especially a heavier implement, if I move faster, the force of that spin is more likely to knock me off center. So it's better for me to start out slowly. And then I can pick up the speed once I have a better sense of my core. The closer it is to me, the more stable I'm going to be. The further away it is from me, the more destabilized I'm going to be, because the levers, our arms, are further away from our bodies. So whenever you feel unstable, come back to center. It's part of returning to center, remembering that we can always return to center and find our balance as we adapt to life and all the imbalances and the instability that there is in the world around us. We always have to adapt to that chaos. It's a constant. And then level 5, add another implement. So I can add in shimmy, or I could literally add another implement. Now normally, I would say start out with 2 of the same weight. But eventually, once you get coordinated enough, you can move on to double stabs. And we do the same thing. We start at the same levels. Level O, getting to know our guides. Our implements are connected to each other. Level 1, the implements are connected to us. 1.5, one is in, the other one is exploring out. And then level 2, both out at the same time. Level 3, level 4, and level 5. And then switch hands and go backwards to give my body some balance, since I did uneven stuff. So if you do work with 2 different staff sizes because you don't happen to have 2 of the same kind, it took me a little bit to build up my set because they do cost a little bit, but I think about it as like better than a gym membership and the initial investment that I can make in installments, one set at a time. Sometimes we just got an 18-pound bar, and that's great because I didn't have a step in between the 15 and the 20. Because that's what I'm working with now, all the way up to 20. So I'm excited to have the 18. And that one's a rare one, so you can't really get it in a set. But still, it costs less than a gym membership. And we'll have it for the rest of our lives. So that's great. Yeah, so there it is. And then I just do the same thing. I move on with the next bar. And I do my O, and I do my 1. My 1.5. 2, 3, 4, 5, or move on to the next one. Oh, getting to know our guide. 1, finding our center. 1.5, beginning to expand. 2, expanding into our spheres. Mixing it up. 3, exploring our spaces with mobile bases. 4, returning to center. 5, intuitive integration. Adding another element, putting it all together. Or add music, because that's another factor of elementally intuitive movement. The first few levels we do without music. Why? Because I want you to pay attention to your breath. I want you to be able to tune into your body and listen. Are you holding your breath? Am I holding my breath? Am I pausing at the end of the exhale? Are you pausing at the end of the exhale? How long are you holding that exhale before you take in that next breath? How explosive is that next breath? That next breath, can we slow it down? And listen to your environment. What's going on around you? So that eventually you have a nice sense of where your body is in space, and then you can continue to explore your sphere with your eyes closed. Because you are aware of your environment. You know what's there based on the sounds, based on your practiced motion within that space. Because music distracts us from all of these other things. So I want us to really deliberately practice honing in those skills before we add in the music. And then once you add in music, it turns into another thing. So that's another aspect of level 5, intuitive integration. You don't necessarily have to add shimmy or add another implement, just add music and see. It's like, yeah, it's a magical experience. That's all I have to say. If you wait to add the music. And so there we are. I've still got a few more bars to go, But that's all that I'm doing out here outside because the mosquitoes will find me soon. Thank you so much for being here. Elementally intuitive movement. I'm elementally Mar because I can only be myself. Maybe how myself expresses itself varies from this time of year to time of year, seasonally, but it's always me. It's always the same configuration, just in a different kind of equation. And I'm grateful to get to be myself. And I hope that you're grateful to be yourself too, because there's only ever any one of us, all of us. All love us. All of 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 us. All love us. Good morning.